Hey guys, my name is Amadea, and in today's video I will show you a full process of me painting a Pinterest trendy pretty girl. As far as what I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna show you how to pick a reference, I'm gonna give you tips for picking a reference, I'm gonna show you the step-by-step on starting with the sketch, defining the sketch, adding shadows, and also how to use different tools in Procreate, such as the transform tool and liquify and layer modes. So if that sounds interesting to you, make sure to like this video first and then tag along with me on this fun ride. And I promise that watching the video entirely will be worth it. I also have some little details in there where my husband walks in and you guys can get to know his face a little bit. So if that's exciting to you, I am gonna get started now with this process of a Pinterest girl. All right. So first of all, we're gonna pick our reference, and I'm gonna keep these things in mind. I want someone with aesthetic vibes and pretty features, but from a straight on or 3/4 angle where the camera is directly on the level where their head is. So let's see. Kind of like this photo because the focal point kind of follows the rule of thirds. If you're just doing like a shot like this, then the camera and her head would kind of be in that position. And I love that she's holding her braids, so there is some motion going on. Like these kind of portraits can be very static without the face doing anything, just kind of like, having like that facial expression and nothing really happening or going on. You want to add some movement to your painting, and this could be a fun way to add that movement, to have this braid going on. And she has, see, trendy jewelry, she has a moody, interesting expression going on. Interesting in a way that it's not as boring if she didn't have any expressions going on at all. So if you put them side by side like this, then you could actually start out and really make sure that everything is placed the right way. So all right, step one, we picked our reference, and remember these were the points to look for. Look for a head that is from a straight camera angle. So this is perfect. You can even see that she's taking a selfie where her camera is right in the eye level. And then step two, you're gonna wanna go for some trendy aesthetics. So she has some trendy clothing on, trendy jewelry. And then number three, look for some kind of interest in the image that adds some movement so that the look and the feel of your artwork won't look so static. Then you can get started with drawing. You add your image to the side of your canvas and then try to kind of sketch out where each feature will be based on a guide. You can turn on your drawing guide here. I'm gonna make the grid size a little smaller. And then I'm just gonna start placing the features for step one, just very broadly, just placing the head, the hands, and the neck area. So you can see her chin is about here. The top of her head is about here. And then try to cut this photo in half, and then her head would start a little bit to the right from the midline. Let's see. I also have an Etsy shop, by the way, so you guys can see I have some people favoriting my artwork, so that just always makes me happy, and that's why I have the notifications on. All right, so the phone starts a little bit below the midline, so it would be somewhere right here. And then it also starts a little bit to the right from the midline here. So I imagine the phone is about this big, and then you can split this distance in half, and then that's exactly where the phone would end with the top section. All right, so actually I drew this circle here, but the circle would be more like this, and then this area would just be her chin. This is a super rough sketch, and so I believe if you're a beginner, you're not gonna feel overwhelmed by watching me do this, and you're gonna feel like you can replicate this yourself. All right. So this is kind of where her head is. And then you're gonna draw a kind of a rectangle for the torso, and you can see her shoulder starts from where the half point of this artwork is. So you can do a little circle for the shoulders here. And here, one thing to note in anatomy that's very helpful is that the shoulders are the same width on both of the sides. especially from this angle, but she's actually tilting her torso a little bit this way. So the midline won't be straight in the middle. It will be tilted to just kind of show that motion. And this actually, you can watch all this in my anatomy tutorial that I uploaded last week. So I'm gonna link that up here. So I explain what I'm doing here in that video in a little more detail. All right, let's add her hand. So her hand will be in about the midsection here. Gonna do a little circle for her wrist, and then this rectangle for the rest of the hand, which we'll detail out a little bit later. All right. Let's add her braid, just kind of the direction of this line. And remember, you don't have to do everything exactly like her photograph is. You can kind of tweak it and make it a little bit different just to kind of show your own style or add your own twist to it, add your own personality. All right, so let's get to the feature placement on the face. So even though the camera is looking from a straight angle at her face, at the same time, she's tilting her head down a little bit, but that's not that hard to draw, in my opinion. In the next step, you're gonna add the features of the face. And for this, you should pay attention of what angle the face is at. And I know it's a straight camera lens for camera view, but she's still tilting her head down a little bit. So that just means that the midline of the face, where usually the eyes are, so you can see from my chin to my head, the eyes are about in the middle. And since I'm tilting my head down, this lowered slightly. So there is more room here than there is here. Instead of the eyes being like here, we're gonna lower it a little bit and just draw in this guideline to show the direction of the face. And then for the nose, you can just add a little triangle. And then for the lips, you're gonna add, just kind of mark the corners of the mouth. And then try pay attention how there's such tiny space for her in between her chin and her lips. So her lips are gonna be very close to her chin. And then here, it's kind of like a triangle shaped upper lip she has going on. She's pouting. All right, and then for the eyes, her eyes are super almond shaped. And she's also kind of looking upwards from this tilted face angle. So for the eyes, you're just gonna wanna add that angle in there. So if you really want to look at this, it has this angle of the upper lid that you can exaggerate. I think the camera is a little more in her face than I would have wanted. So we're gonna move that this way. All right, so there we go. And then the bottom lid is pretty straight, but bear with me here. I know she looks pretty terrible right now, but you'll see by the end. Just trust the process. All right, so here we go. Adding the eyebrows. Same thing with the eyebrows. When you tilt your head downward, see the eyebrows get so much closer to the eyes than when you're straight on. There's this distance from the eyebrows, and then when you tilt your head, the distance becomes smaller. And of course, since this is like a kind of a, the portrait's point is for you to stylize it a little bit, we're gonna draw the eyes and the lips a little exaggerated from how it looks like on the photo. But still, these guidelines and knowing about how the face looks like anatomically correctly help a lot with stylization. So that is why I'm mentioning all these little steps. All right, so when I'm placing her eyelids, you can see that there is a little white space on the bottom. So when I place it, I'm gonna keep that in mind. Let's place it a little bit to this side so she's looking straight at us. There we go. Other side. Okay, that's not good. Her eyes here are higher than their eyes on the other side. So actually you're gonna wanna make sure that the eyes on both sides are the same height. So if you draw an imaginary line here and here, you want to make sure that the eyes are kind of the same size. And I think this is a lot better now. All right, everything looks super messy, so at least I'm gonna draw in the braid here a little bit, just roughly, so that I have an idea what is going on there. And then she has an earring. All right, so one thing I'm observing on this sketch is that her torso looks super off compared to this one. Her neck is way too long, so this is where the selection tooling comes in very handy. I'm gonna select her torso here and swipe down 3 fingers, cut and paste, and then I'm gonna prick liquify. So I'm gonna liquify this in a way where the torso is facing in this direction more. See, like how she's tilting her torso, so this already makes a big difference. And then I'm gonna raise this a little bit, and actually I realized, okay, so this is a before after. It's a lot more dynamic, but also I noticed that in order to make this look really how the picture is, you're gonna have to move down the head a little bit, because the way she tilts her head down means that her neck is gonna appear shorter as well. And so you can tell how that made the difference. And then now we're gonna liquefy it and kind of move it so that she's actually looking this way, because I've actually made her look the other way. This is, drawing faces is hard, guys, so give yourself grace and be patient with yourself. All right. So that looks a lot better, so you can see before and after. Liquify saves the day again. Okay, now that we're done with this, I'm gonna lower the opacity on the sketch, and then we're gonna define everything more and exaggerate everything more, and that's where she's gonna really pop, and I'm gonna tell you all about that. So to recap one more time, step 1, picking your reference. Step 2, sketching in the head shape, hand shape, torso shape, and then step 3, you're gonna sketch in the facial features, and then step 4, you're gonna grab the selection tool and the liquify and make sure that the angles are as good as they can be. And I know this is hard, but with practice, I promise you're gonna have a better feel of how those things works and how to tweak those things. So just be aware of these tools and be patient with yourself. All right, let's get to the details. All right, so lowering the opacity, adding in a new layer, and I'm gonna start working on her face. Oh, what is happening? Nope. So the one thing to note is that eyebrows are the easiest to draw, I believe, if you just kind of draw, you make your brush bigger than normal and just kind of draw a line. And then after you drew a line, you can add little pieces of brow to kind of showcase that it's a natural texture and not so rigid. And usually this is the direction of the little brow hairs. And so if you don't want to complicate this too much, you can just duplicate this layer and flip it and put it on the other side, and then liquefy it a little bit so that they're not perfectly symmetrical. But this is just a nice hack that I do sometimes when I don't have time to just make everything look perfectly symmetrical, because so many times is just one of the hardest parts of drawing the face is to make things symmetrical. All right, so we're gonna do the same thing with the eyes. She has this big, we're gonna have like about here, add that little straightness to just dramatize the almond shape even more. And then we're gonna also flip this shape to make it easier. You see how like originally I was so off making this look symmetrical, so off. So I'm basically gonna select these 2 layers by just swiping them, and make the eyes a little bigger though, because I feel like you can tell that, you know, the edge of her eye is under the edge of her eyebrow. And her eyes are also a little closer together than how I drew them. And I'm gonna pick distort, and I'm gonna distort the eye down a little bit because she's not that dramatic like upwards. It's more a little bit down. And I'm gonna liquefy this a little bit as well. If anything, watching this process should help you understand that anyone who does a great artwork just goes through a lot of different stages and learning experiences. And, you know, by no means I'm a pro, but I've done this for a while, to a level even where you maybe look at some of my artwork sometimes and wish that you could draw the same way, but the process is really not pretty and doesn't have to be. And you can be patient with yourself and just, you know that you will get there in the end. So one big aspects of these pretty girls is massive eyelashes. So I always start with an eyelash in the corner to just emphasize the cat eye, almond-shaped eye look. And let's see. Oh, there we go. And then I add the kind of eyelid here. I don't have to draw the eyelid like this, but I just want to indicate it with a little bit of broken lines. So that's a good tactic if you want to stylize, is whenever you see something, think of drawing it in a more simplified way where you're just kind of indicating the details so that the viewer's brain can fill in the gaps as far as, you know, what's there. And you don't have to draw every single detail in perfectly, because that's just kind of makes portraits look a little creepy that way. You know, like all of us saw portraits when you're trying to, like, if I were to try to draw in every single line for the nose and it would kind of look creepy. But we're not gonna do that. We're just gonna get to the nose now. And let's see, so the nose, she's kind of tilting her head this way, but we're just gonna kind of look at it if she's straight on. And for the nose, we already draw in our triangle here, so we're just gonna follow that shape and indicate kind of the nostrils with these little darker holes. And then we're gonna indicate the top of the nose like this, which is just kind of a cute way. See, like I'm not finishing drawing these lines. I'm just making them broken, and that's like a nice way to just indicate details without making it look creepy. And that is another reason why I'm adding this little thing on the top here to indicate that that's the top of the nose, instead of like actually drawing in the full nose here. This makes her nose look a lot cuter. And actually now I'm observing that the nose is also not symmetrical perfectly, so I'm gonna liquefy it a little bit in a way, and I'm also going to move it up to the closer to her eye. So that's a little good tip that I learned, is the nose being closer. Let's select everything so that the sketch moves with it, but all right, let's answer this lady. So blessed to have Etsy orders. So just kind of fun that, you know, she needs her stickers ASAP. So we needed to answer her. All right, so we're gonna liquefy the nose and bring it up slightly. And even though she's looking downwards, and when you look downwards, their nose becomes a little longer, it still just makes the face look cuter if the nose is smaller and a little more up. So if the nose looks off or the face looks off, chances are that if you make the nose a little smaller and move it a little closer to the eyes, everything will look better. But don't quote me on that. It's just an observation I have. All right, so for the lips, I'm gonna tilt my canvas this way because this is the direction I kind of do the best brush strokes. And here, really observe the shape of the mouth. And this shape is very much a triangle shape, and that kind of makes this pouty look. And I'm just very gently outlining this with putting emphasis of the outline on the bottom in the middle to just kind of show that there is a little space between the two lips, because that actually shows, the little space here, that her mouth is slightly open, and that can give it a more aesthetic vibe than if her lips were fully closed. And then here I'm just gonna add the little dark dots in the corner. And then here I'm just indicating the bottom of the lips, and then very lightly the sides. So that is also a very important thing for you, to have a brush that has pressure sensitivity. All right, liquefying like we've always done. But basically pressure sensitivity allows you to be able to indicate details rather than define them perfectly. And that is gonna help you a lot with making things look just more visually pleasing. All right, I'm gonna move this a little bit here and then distort it to make it symmetrical. All right, so this is a time now to merge all these layers together, and let's see how it looks. So I think it looks pretty good. When you merge the layers together and just look at it in this little window, you can kind of see what the whole thing looks together in a different perspective, and that can help a lot for spotting mistakes. All right, and then I'm just gonna draw in the iris here. I always draw the iris in a separate layer because sometimes it can be very tricky to make her look, you know, natural as far as where her gaze is directed to. So many times I need to just grab the eyeballs and kind of move them around to get that right. And for example, right now I'm gonna make them look a little bit bigger and move this one a tiny bit like that, maybe. I don't know, it's kind of hard. Eyeballs are the freaking worst. So hard to draw eyeballs properly. I mean irises, or you know what I mean. Okay, that looks better. And then I'm gonna just darken this area of her eyelashes even more and just kind of add those extra badang eyelash pieces. I think I'm perfect to show you guys this process, because I am not by any means like a super pro at this. What I try to learn all the time is how to make things look, or how to know what looks good. So studying other people's art, or kind of like knowing what to change and what to fix when you're a digital artist, can be very helpful, since there's so many tools that help you, you know, fix things easier than if it's traditional art. I believe that if you just focus on being able to tell the details that look good, like, you know, what to not change and what to change, you're gonna go far. All right, let's do her hair. So drawing hair, you just need to focus on the bigger shapes. And I see here, you can exaggerate those shapes. Like here, the hair kind of comes out on both sides like this, boop, boop. Obviously, I'm not gonna exaggerate that much, but I'm gonna follow that motion to just kind of show that the hair has volume. Kind of do a little flyaway hair there. So her ears are kind of peeking out a little bit, a lot less than how I drew them before. So I'm gonna change that. And see, the ear normally is the length of the nose to the eyebrows. You can see my ear here. And since the head is tilted down, the ears are gonna go a little more above the eyebrows and start a little higher. And that is what we're doing here. Her ears start a little higher than the nose. Make it go up here. And then we can see her hair just kind of sliding behind it. I'm gonna do some of this hair like it's tucked in front of her ear, just to make it look a little less like Dobby. For the phone, you want to make sure that the lines are, you know, even. When you hold, like draw a line and hold it, then that's gonna make it a perfectly straight line. Because it can also look creepy if you make a phone like totally straight, but in a kind of messy, sketchy drawing like this. So when you observe a hand, you can kind of see that it's a square for the palm and the square for the fingers, and then those kind of become a triangle when they're moved around. And so just imagine she's holding her hand kind of like this, so that is gonna be one triangle here. Then we're gonna group these other fingers. Make sure the fingers have about the same length because that is one thing that can look really creepy. So here we go, the hand is kind of ready. Even though this is a portrait tutorial, I don't even know when I got to this point that I can just sketch the placements of hand with a little less stress and anxiety than I used to in the past. Gosh, this used to be like the most stressful thing ever. So the rings are curved around the fingers, so make sure you pay attention to that. That's what Liquify is best for, to define angles. Everything in life is three-dimensional, and when you're drawing in 2D, it's really hard to make your brain think that way. But you know that things are 3D, but when you draw, it's just hard to connect the dots for your brain and for your actions. I decided to change the shape of this canvas to an Instagrammable portrait. I have to deal with this braid situation here. I still want to create that movement, so I'm gonna add to the sketch layer and kind of figure out how I could make this. So we're just gonna take our inspiration reference for the braid and kind of start drawing it the same way. Braids are really easy to draw. You just kind of do a zigzag line for the middle. And always keep in mind that braids are thicker on the top than they are on the bottom. We want to add some movement to the bottom of this braid. And then we're going to emphasize the middle of this braid a little bit, because there is more volume of hair in the middle here than it is on the side. Like all the hair is clumped up in a group in the middle there. And now we just have to add a little bit of torso. So the neck is going to be way thinner than her neck is on that image. Just gonna be like a cutesy little tin. It looks really creepy when you draw necks how they are in real life. Look, it's almost the width of my face, and this is a lot thinner. So that's just kind of a situation that's going on when you stylize characters. Of course, like for this style, I mean, like there's so many different styles you can learn and stylize in. Okay, so my camera just stopped working, so I hope everything's good. But basically, you're gonna follow the curve of the body here for the necklace like this. When you hold it, that kind of makes it a perfect ellipse. But then we're gonna use Liquify and imagine that this necklace is like laying flat on her torso. And since her hair is on the way because we changed things, we are gonna make this necklace a little bit smaller, so that almost like a choker. Actually, let's just give her a choker. No, it's not working again. Please work. Why? Technology, I love you, but I don't. This is so frustrating. Please work. Please work. Look, my phone is just like not recording video, even though I deleted like 4 hours worth of video stuff just now. I missed you too. I'm just so frustrated because the ring light in the beginning would turn off every 2 seconds. And then I figured out if I change the adapter outlet thing and switch it, then it's gonna be okay. And I've been literally so nervous about making this video for like a week. I've been stressing about it, and now I'm finally doing it, but now it's gonna be a nightmare to edit it because the clips are gonna be all over the place, and then I would have to like replace it with time-lapse and then blah, 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 and I don't even know. So anyways, thank you. I'm thankful for you. All right, so hopefully it's gonna work now. All right, I hope the filming doesn't stop this time, but basically I was just showing you how I do the necklace, and I basically just do like little erase marks on the shapes that I originally created. You have to add her earrings, so we're just gonna do the same thing, just do it kind of with a dark, sketchy tone. Make sure that it's the right curve. You just kind of have to go with the feeling. I think that looks good. All right, and it would kind of peek out there too if in the way that we drew her. Oh my god, it's coming together. I am so excited. Okay, I'm gonna erase the necklace under her braid because that wouldn't be showing. And then I'm gonna turn this layer off now, and we're just gonna kind of make sure that this top makes sense how it is. We're gonna add little lines for just indicating the neckline of the top she's wearing, and then, you know, kind of here indicating that this is a shirt, so there's some like wrinkles in it. I have a whole tutorial on how I draw clothing, by the way, on Patreon if you guys are interested. would love to have you on Patreon. I also have a monthly happy mail for stickers that I love, and we have such a nice crew there. I draw Disney princesses there each month too, and when you're a patron, you have exclusive right to vote on who should be next. And I'm actually working on Kita at the moment, so I hope she will turn out great. All right, so now we're just erasing. That's why it's nice that every layer is separate. We can just erase the phone marks that are under her hand. And then we're gonna erase her hair that's under the phone here. Let's see, clean up some things going on here. I don't know what that is. It's her hair, but that's kind of her ear. So just go with the feeling and, you know, like I said, just be patient. It's gonna come with time. All right, so we have the outlines. Let's merge everything. Woo! This was the sketch and detailed outline. And then the very last step. So to summarize for this line art, you know, we just kind of detailed out everything and there is no really step-by-step. You just go with the flow and decide where you want artwork to end up and adjust placements of composition throughout the way. But the last thing that is super fun, I think, is adding little shadows. So I'm gonna just turn this sketch layer down slightly, but not like completely turn it off, because the sketch marks kind of add a nice little texture to the drawing itself. So I'm just gonna erase things that I really don't want to show, but then some of it I'm gonna leave because it adds nice little vibes to this. And then I'm gonna add the shadows. So there's always gonna be a little shadow below the nose, because if the light, we're just gonna assume the light comes from the top. These shadows just add such a nice feel. The top lip is gonna be always darker than the bottom one. There's gonna be a little shadow under the lips. You can even see that on her face here. And then obviously if she had eyeshadow on, this would be darker here. There we go. And then her hair. So the hairline in the middle is usually darker because, and then also her hair is darker. And then this would be kind of the area around where the rim light would be hitting the hair. So I'm just adding all these shadows like on top of that and then below that to just indicate that that's the lightest area of the head where that rim light is hitting. Here we go. I hope you guys can't hear my husband. He is talking in the background, and that wouldn't be good if you could hear him. He's in a different room, but he's really loud. I love him so much. I love being around him all day, so it's such a blessing overall. Okay, here we go. And then we're gonna add the little shadows in the middle of the braids, because that's where the braids grouped up. And then these are the areas where we don't like that little, there shouldn't be, there we go. Just deleted the liner there. So we're just gonna keep adding these little shadows in the middle of the braid, and then we're gonna add it around the arm, like the bottom of the arm would be in shadow, and then below the braid, the shirt would be in shadow. The wrinkles of the shirt are in shadow, indicating the chest area and breasts. Little shadows for that. So just, you know, go with the feeling, but these are the general areas, like the bottom of things, the middle of things, below things. Finishing touches was to liquefy it when we flipped it, so you can see the before and after look. Before, she's kind of wobbly, and then we just straighten everything out, and then we're gonna flip it back. And then there's some tricks you can do in the end. If you want this to have that wuzza effect, you can duplicate this and do a little chromatic aberration. So that just kind of adds that effect to your lines, that like colorful blurring effect. So let's see. And you can play with the layer modes if you want, color burn. So anyways, okay, that looks good enough for me. And then if you want to play with noise is kind of fun. See, like it kind of makes everything noised up. Jason, can you turn it down, please? All right, so dark C, you can kind of see like the graininess that is added with the noise. So I think that also adds a nice texture. And then the third tip or trick is to grab a paper textured brush. I hope I can recommend you my own brushes for these things at some point, but I'm not done with that yet. So this added a paper texture, which just makes things a little bit cooler looking. And you can play with the darkness or saturation or lightness of the paper texture. So I'm gonna make it a little bit lighter. And then here we go. So you can see all the little effects I added in the end kind of made the difference from this to this. And then the very last step, of course, is we're gonna add our signature. Let's sign it right here somewhere. Okay, great. So here, we're done. So this is how you draw a Pinterest girl portrait. Next week's tutorial will be how to draw faces easily, and I will be diving into even more details about drawing faces and the facial structures than how I did today, which was just for this specific Pinterest girl, trendy, pretty girl look. So make sure to check that video out, that's coming next week. And then this is also overall a part of a challenge that I am doing for 15 weeks where I recreate popular YouTube videos. So make sure to subscribe so you can tag along in this challenge and see my videos each week that will be on helpful topics and hopefully also see me grow. All right, guys. Last but not least, let me know in the comments if
if you've been curious before how to draw Pinterest girls and if I hit the points that were helpful.
Oh my god, okay, what should you let me know in the comments? Guys, I am just asking to let me know something in the comments because I need you to comment on this video so it can grow, but I really don't have any good questions, so just say hi. All right, anyways, bye.